Hellraiser Revelations is our next movie in the series, and it's really quite remarkable how this franchise, 9 entries in, keeps finding new ways to be absolutely horrible. So join us for the first Hellraiser without star Doug Bradley. Hopefully have a few laughs, but mostly just be thankful that you're not watching the film yourself. Welcome everyone to Screams After Midnight. I am Peter, and joining me as always is Tim.
Hey, you opened the box, you summoned us, and we came.
We heard that sound clip like 8 times in this movie. That exact same moment he says it, we heard it 8 times. I swear it was something in that region. Yeah. Welcome everyone. This is a horror movie podcast. We get together, we talk about a horror film we've watched. It's really quite that simple. We're here today because for the last 2 years, maybe 3 years, I think the pandemic and you having a kid kind of delayed it a little bit at one point, but we have been working through the Hellraiser franchise. We started in October, I think, 2018. Wait, so it's been almost 4 years by the time we're done, probably. We have done the first 8 Hellraisers. This is going to be Hellraiser 9. It's not called that, obviously, but I'm just to put in context what this is. Mm-hmm. This is Hellraiser Revelations. It is the first one that does not star Doug Bradley as Pinhead. It came out in 2011. So this is like the same year as Insidious, to put it in context of like where horror was at this time. Yeah, this is so we're going to talk about it. We'll give you.
So you could have potentially gone to the movie theater and seen Insidious, and then went and seen this movie if you specifically went to the one movie theater during the one showing that it played at.
Yeah, I was going to say, you sure this came out of theaters time, because I don't think it did.
I read the Wikipedia, and it did confirm that there was exactly one theatrical showing that was mostly made up of cast and crew, and then
so it was a premiere. Like straight on they had a premiere. That's what you're saying. I don't know if I can count one showing as a theater release. I know it's technically playing in the theater, but for me it has to be like, no, people in multiple towns can go and see it.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. No, I agree.
So yes, we'll give you a warning before we go into spoilers if you happen to care about spoilers for Hellraiser Revelations, and we'll start spoiler free as we always do. We'll give you the lowdown of what the plot is, what the premise is, how we feel about it. Place your bets now, and we'll see if it can live up to the standard set by the last 5 movies, which were all what's the word I'm looking for? Toxic, satanic garbage.
I don't know. I'll defend 4 a little bit.
Okay, a little bit.
A little bit. Like, I don't think it's definitely a good or well-made movie, and
it's better than the next 4. I mean, I'll give you that.
Exactly. Yeah. I think there's a considerable dip in quality, and at least the 4th one to me still feels very Hellraiser-y.
It was written as a Hellraiser movie. It wasn't some other script. Which actually, this was when I read the description for this when I was going to get the movie, because I had to triple check that I was getting the right one because they're not numbered.
Yes.
When I read the description, I thought, this actually sounds like it's a Hellraiser script. Like, they actually wrote this as a Hellraiser movie. So
to be fair, yeah.
If nothing else, it's got that going for it versus the last 4. So that's something. Just before we get into the discussion properly, though, I'm doing something a little different here. I'm going to plug the Patreon right now, because you get 2 bonus things a month on patreon.com/mailfuzztv if you're a patron. You get the bonus episode,
open the box,
which is an extra movie review from us. In the past, it's really silly movies, but because we only have 2 regular episodes a month right now, some of them have been actually just kind of normal movies as the bonus episode. And then the second bonus you get, so you get effectively get weekly streams content if you're on the Patreon between the regular episodes and the bonus stuff, is you get even more streams, which is a more casual show where we just talk about all the various horror movies we've been watching, spoiler free. And Tim also usually makes a quiz for me to try and solve or pass or succeed in. Or
I'm the game master.
You're the game master, yes. So anyway, patreon.com/mailfuzztv if you want to support the show and all the other content we do. But mainly Screams After Midnight, you get some bonuses, so go and have a look.
Hey, what if the president of PlayStation watches one of our episodes and says, "Hey, this could make a good game"?
that came out of nowhere. I don't know where did that come from. I mean, I mean, sure, I'll accept some royalties to use the Screams After Midnight name.
Hey, no, I'm the one that comes up with the games. No, if they want to use one of our games, yeah, maybe I'll give you a pittance if you're lucky. But
yes,
I really popped my pee on that one.
Without further, don't pop your pee on my show, Tim.
I can't help it. Sometimes I don't have the fancy setup like you with your pee popping paraphernalia.
You mean my anti-pee popping paraphernalia?
Exactly. Yes.
It's got a pop shield.
Sometimes you do need a good pee pop.
It sounds like we're talking about piss, Tim, and I don't like it. It's all very piss sounding. So let's get to Hellraiser Revelations. The premise of this one is that Oh, yeah. Yes, Timmy?
I did watch a movie today where a character pisses on their shirt. Do you know what movie I'm referring to?
Is it one that I am likely to have seen?
Yeah, there's a good chance you've seen this, I'd say.
Okay, pisses on my
very early I think it's 2000, 2001, unlikely team up.
Oh,
period
team
piece.
up. Okay, I was going to say something about Mary. Was it Shanghai then?
It was, yeah. Good job.
It was a team up thing you said that gave it to me. Yeah. I was like, oh, about that time. That sounds right. Yeah.
I've never seen it before. There's a scene where they're breaking out of jail, so Jackie Chan pisses on a shirt and uses it to bend the bars.
That's right. I don't remember thinking of those movies very fondly, to be honest, but
first one's, I mean, it's not bad. See, the weird thing is that it just feels good to watch something that's not a goddamn comic book movie nowadays. That it's
yeah.
Where you watch these old kind of like, I guess maybe like these kind of movies were like the comic book movies of the day, where studio would just shit out these like buddy cop kind of movies or whatever. But it's kind of refreshing now.
No, I agree. I'm sick of the Marvel movies, especially. But even the DC movies, I'm not excited for. But you can tell Tim doesn't really want to talk about this Hellraiser movie because he's pivoting as hard as he can, as quickly as he can. The premise of Hellraiser Revelations is that I don't know if they're quite teenagers or if they're like college age.
It's hard to tell. Yeah. I assumed like maybe either like late teens or like early college age, like. They could potentially be seniors on like summer vacation or something, or like college students on spring break or something.
I mean, don't get me wrong, they don't look like teenagers, but in a movie and TV sense, they could be teenagers, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. They're going to Mexico to just drink and
get their dicks wet.
That is a line of dialogue in the opening scene. Yes, they're going to get their dicks wet, as they put it. What was weird to me is they sort of say, "Oh, let's say bye to this quaint little town forever." And then they give the middle finger, and the place they're giving the middle finger to, this town they're bored of, that's not got enough exciting things for them, is Los Angeles. What? This is not Delaware. What are you talking about?
Yeah, it's absolutely insane. And then there's.
I think later he refers to it as Generica. I think that's what he calls the LA Generica.
There's like a later scene where he's kind of like lamenting his life and his status and talking about being stuck in like this dead end boring town. And when he's doing that whole monologue or whatever, I was like, he lives in Los Angeles, right? It's like one of the most like crazy happening places like in the world.
I feel like if you're talking the US, you cannot say this about LA or New York. You're just not allowed to. You can't pretend that they're not like the most like happening places. Yeah. It might not be to your taste, but they're not dead end, dull, depressing towns.
Like, I'm sorry, but I mean, if his plan is to like move to like the bustling city of Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, like I don't think it's gonna be as thrilling as you think.
Anyway, so they're going to Mexico, and while they're there, and I'm going to be vague here because the movie's intentionally kind of like. Because it flashes back later and reveals more what happened, but basically they encounter the
revelation,
the lament configuration, and there's clearly
lament configuration revelation.
There's some Cenobite shenanigans clearly, and we mainly the present day stuff is actually the parents of these two kids who are friends with each other, and the sister of one of the kids, and who's also the girlfriend of the other boy. Just to make it clear. Yeah. I'll be honest, Tim. For about half this movie, I wasn't sure which son belonged to which set of parents.
All right, so yeah, that was a big. For me, I was kind of just like letting everything wash over me. I was trying not to think too hard about it, but my wife was having a hell of a time because she was very frustrated with not knowing like who exactly everyone is. Because first of all, everyone looks to be about the same age, so she was kind of just like, all right, are these all supposed to be like parents or young kids or like I thought, whatever?
Yeah, the Nico's father, he felt he didn't feel as young as the teenagers, but he did feel noticeably younger than the other parents. The other parents all felt like they're all about 40 or 45 or something.
Yeah, and then like I don't know, I feel like even 2/3 of the way into the movie, like I still wasn't completely sure exactly like who was who, and I was like, all right, I know like this is someone's brother or sister, but I'm not sure if she's the sister or the girlfriend.
I wasn't sure which one. Yeah, I wasn't sure which one was her brother and which one was her boyfriend, and that was making a lot of the early stuff really confusing to try and parse. But Emma, the sister, that's the Craven family, and her brother is Stephen Craven. Craven, of course, being a reference to Wes Craven. I assume anyway. I mean, it's a bit weird if it's not. And then the other family is the Bradley family
for his. Participation in the Hellraiser franchise.
Well, at least the other one makes sense because the other one's the Bradley family, and Doug Bradley played Pinhead, played Hellraiser.
Not in this one, he didn't.
Not in this one. We'll talk about that in a minute. So that's the setup. So we cut to like these two sets of parents having like a dinner party, and we have no idea how long the kids have been missing it / presumed dead, but we hear that the police have looked into it and found nothing, and I don't know how they got their like video camera back that they were shooting, like because I thought it was gonna be found footage because the opening scene's all like it's like overdrive found footage. It's like it's so shaky and like just little.
I had my mind blown because I was like, wait a minute, is there a goddamn found footage Hellraiser movie that I was not aware of? Like I feel like even if it was bad, that is something that you would have heard of. But yeah,
luckily it did stop doing it after a while. But it's whilst it is doing the camera stuff for the first like 5 minutes or so, it is probably the most overly shaky. Everything short clips because they wanted to feel like authentic found footage, but it just is so irritating to watch. I mean, the dialogue is also infuriating because they're annoying and unlikable, but the camera is absolutely just infuriating. It's not that it gets good once it switches to normal photography per se, because then it just looks like a cheap like made for TV thing the rest of the way. But
that's generous. It's like whatever. I don't know what would be below that, like made for some random guy's YouTube or something, but
Crackle, it's like, made for Crackle,
a straight to Crackle. Yeah. I did watch this on Tubi, which if you had told me it was a Tubi original, I would not be surprised. But I think I literally said like the other day that this might have like one of the most unlikable openings to a movie I've ever seen, and not just in terms of the characters, but like you were saying, just like the found footage is super annoying. The characters are so goddamn irritating, and it's not like it gets better after the opening, but I don't know, at least the other Hellraiser sequels, there's maybe you kind of figure they're going to be bad, but at least you're like, all right, like let's see what type of bad this is going to be. Like this, it's like from like the first moment you're like, oh Jesus, this is going to be rough, which is strange because usually the 9th installments in a franchise is usually the good one, but
hold on, let's do a quick check of this fact, shall we? Friday the 13th Part 9 is Jason Goes to Hell the Final Friday, which is the worst one in the franchise, so that one doesn't add up. Halloween, the 9th one, is the Rob Zombie remake.
That's right.
Which is absolute trash, so that doesn't hold up. Has Freddy had the 9th one yet? No.
If you include sorry.
Go on.
If you include Freddy versus Jason, then I think you could say that the remake would be the 9th one.
So either it doesn't apply, or it's the remake. Either way, your theory's flawed. Yeah. Is there anything else that's got into 9 that we've seen / done. I think so.
How many Howling movies were there?
I was only 8 of those, thankfully.
Okay, they just missed out. I think Leprechaun is only 8 for now, obviously.
For now. Yeah, for now.
Puppet Master probably had 9.
Oh yeah, there's more than 9 puppet, but we've only done the first one of that so far.
I couldn't even tell you which one the 9th one is.
So of the so it's the 3 biggies really. It's Michael, Freddy, Jason. Of those 3, all of the part 9s are possibly the worst one in their respective franchises.
What did Child's Play must have gotten close, right? Like, did they have like 7 or 8?
Child's Play has 7 original timeline and then the remake. So
okay,
8.
So close.
8 total. It's close. If you count the TV show as movie number 9, I guess we've got a winner finally.
Yeah, that was one good one. But obviously, I was joking. Yes, the 9th installments are usually bad.
Oh yeah, I just thought it'd be funny to actually go through all the 9s and see see how they stack up, because it's not good. It's not a good good list of movies. And I thought the list of like part 6s was bad. I mean, obviously Jason's got a pretty good part 6, but Freddy 6 not good. Halloween 6 not good.
Just spitting some ideas out here, but maybe at some point in the future, possibly a fun bonus episode would be like ranking like each installment of like a horror movie. So like, which horror franchise has like the best first installment, which one has the best sequel, which one...
I like it. Or the best number 2, the best number 3, the best 4, and just go as high as we can. And 9, I mean, no, I could probably go to 10 with it would only just be Halloween and Friday the 13th at that point, at least. Unless we wait until we've done the Puppet Masters and the Children of Corns, and I mean, not that I suspect the Children of the Corn sequels are going to be winning any
That's
of these.
That's a good point. There might be close to 9 Children of the Corn movies.
Oh no!
Surprisingly.
Oh, no. Yeah, wild stuff. So, yeah, I mean, needless to say, this movie's absolute trash. I mean, if that wasn't clear from the tone and the way we were describing it, I think, like, the acting in the last few wasn't good, but bizarrely, like, I missed, because they all had, like, effectively that one C-lister who was the lead actor, right? Who kind of anchored it, and they weren't great, but you at least got the impression this was someone who can be a supporting actor in something else with proper actors in it. This movie, it's especially the sister, Emma Craven. Almost every line that came out of her mouth was like, you should not be acting, you should not be getting paid for this because you're terrible at it. Go get another job, because you cannot do this.
I mean, it does sound a little mean, but I mean, I can't say necessarily disagree. I mean, who knows though? I mean, I sometimes I hate to place the blame on like the actors, but there could be a lot going on between the direction and rush production and stuff that it's just not a good situation for anyone.
You can
around.
tell me that about that some of the others, but I think her in particular, like every line, it was like the forced emotion, and like when she's like looking at the videotape at one point and just bursts out crying, like it just.
So I didn't recognize anyone, but my wife did say that she recognized the kind of like the main dude. I think that was Steven.
Yeah. Ex-boyfriend?
Yes, I believe so. Like the one that basically comes home. Kind of has
no,
hair.
that's the brother. I was joking that it was your wife's ex-boyfriend. That's why she recognized him from.
Oh, no. She said she recognized him from The Duff. Are you familiar with the movie The Duff? I
can't say I am, Tim. No.
So The Duff stands for Designated Ugly Fat Friend, and it's about like it's about I could be wrong. I think there's like someone notable is in it, but it's like about this popular girl, and then her best friend is the Duff.
He's a thespian, is what you're telling me.
Yeah. But it's one of those like funny Hollywood things though, where it's like, the Duff is like the designated ugly fat friend, but then it's like it's still like an incredibly attractive Hollywood like looking person that's like, they're not ugly at all. She's
just not quite as skinny as the others, and that's right. Basically it. Yeah, okay.
But I mean, I don't know. Check out The Duff, I guess, if it's streaming. I'll see if it's streaming. Go on.
I mean, or don't. I mean, just just or don't. It's a shame it's not a Simpsons spin-off. I thought it was going to be about the Simpsons beer. Yeah.
That would be good.
Yeah.
Yeah. So wait, I think Mae Whitman, I believe, plays the Duff.
Of course, yeah. By Hollywood standards, she's the fat ugly friend.
Then Bella Thorne, I think, is the second lead, and then third build here, someone you're familiar with, I'm sure, Robbie Amell.
Oh yes, I'm familiar with Robbie Amell. Yes. Amell.
Right, go on.
Why is your wife watching such questionable movies, Tim?
It's like she watched it yesterday.
She may have done. You're not always paying attention.
That is true. Kind of zone out these days.
You're sitting. I mean, I know yesterday was Sunday, but the audience don't know that. Yesterday, you're working away.
Yeah.
She's in the other room, watching the Duff
with our child,
corrupting your child's brain.
Yeah, it's no good.
Yeah. So the way the movie plays out is that they're around for this dinner party, and over the course, it's like, oh yeah, this bag that had the camera and it also had the lament configuration, and they start like getting emotional and talking about what happened to their sons slash brother slash boyfriend. And
also, it's been like a year since this happened.
We have no idea how long it's been, Tim, because I was starting to question that.
I read the Wikipedia because I was
okay. The wiki's got
see if there were some interesting facts, and I mean, I don't know how accurate this is, but they said it's been a year since their, I guess, death slash disappearances, which is kind of like, it took you that long to like start watching the tape.
Well, to be fair, the mom apparently has been watching it over and over, like, because the daughter says,
which is very strange.
Yeah.
Once you know what's on the tape, it's like,
yeah. Once you see some of the stuff that's on there, it's a bit weird for her to
why have you been
watch
watching this? Jesus.
So she's looking for clues.
Sick family.
She's looking for clues. But
this family is a little twisted.
They get a little twisted, yeah. We'll get to that. But
I'd be surprised if they have a distant relative named the Joker.
Very good. Very good time. Yeah.
I would like to, honestly, I would like to see what would happen if the Joker opened the lament configuration. Imagine like Pinhead just taking a look at him and being like, okay, yeah, I don't want to deal with this guy.
I feel like it'd go through his usual, you know, the box you opened it, we came, we will consume your flesh and we will enjoy the pleasure of your flesh and you'll be punished for centuries. And I imagine the Joker just getting a raging hard on immediately.
Yeah.
And Pinhead being like, well, you are different. And
yeah.
Yeah. Honestly, the Joker may end up enjoying it more than they do, to be honest.
Oh man, we got so many good ideas. DC should reach out to us.
Oh yeah, the Joker Pinhead crossover. Speaking of old Penny, different actor played him here, and I don't think the voice is too bad. Honestly, I'll give the voice a kind of a pass for like a sort of imitation. He does not look quite right though in the part. No. I would say he's got a bit of a. I mean, that's going to sound like I'm shaming. Like, it's fine. Like, this is what he looks like, but he has a very round head for Pinhead, I would say.
So I've never. So this is my first time watching the movie, but I have heard, people online and like in the horror community and stuff refer to him as Fat Pinhead, which again, I don't want to body shame or anything either. Lord knows I'd be a fat Pinhead if I was Pinhead, but
yeah, because I wouldn't call him fat, but he has a fatter head shape than Bradley did, is the point.
Yeah, it just nothing against this actor Steven Summerisle or whatever his name was, Summer Ribbon or something. He just doesn't pull off the Pinhead look. I'm sorry, it's just he's like not menacing. Like it feels like the Party City, version of Pinhead.
And yeah, Doug Bradley, of course, like just to look at the performance side of it, he always had this very stoic, like disapproving look in his face, and I feel like this Pinhead, he's trying to go for that, I guess, but he always just kind of looks like he's annoyed, as opposed to whereas classic Pinhead He was kind of creepy because you didn't really know what he was thinking. But I feel like this guy's got it on his face the entire time. So it's, I don't know, it feels a bit too easy to read, but too normal, I guess, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, like Doug Bradley Pinhead feels like an otherworldly creature. Like this feels like a guy dressing up.
Yes.
Like, which, you know, and I don't want to put any blame on him. Again, you know, this is such like a rushed, like crappy production that, yeah, they probably had like, I don't know, $200.
Oh, and it's worth mentioning. Said the voice was okay. It's actually a different actor doing the voice.
Oh,
so I guess they actually got someone who could do a decent impression. But
Thomas Jane.
No, Fred.
Flintstone.
No, Fred.
That'd be crazy.
Taskiori.
Taskmaster. Oh.
Nice try, Tim. So yeah, he doesn't look very good. And what's weird is, as far as the other Cenobites go, there's one that has kind of like a face pulled back kind of thing, and then the other
like
one,
teeth chatterer guy. Which, he was from the original.
And then the other one is basically just another Pinhead, although he's kind of like a makeshift Pinhead because they're kind of like nailing bits of flesh to his head with the nails, and that's why he's got the pins. And it's like, it's okay, I guess, but there's not a lot of variety.
Fishing.
Is that supposed to be a joke?
I don't know. Leave me alone.
Yeah. I think one of my big things with this movie, you know, outside of just the really bad acting, the script does use some Hellraiser elements in that it brings back a couple of ideas from the older movies. So at least like they have kind of like tried to tie it in. But the general setup of the movie, which is they're just at this house, weird stuff starts happening, eventually someone shows up and all hell kind of breaks loose. But it's mostly just these two couples and the daughter kind of yelling, crying, getting scared. But for the most part, the thing that really struck me about this is how frequently they wouldn't react appropriately to things that were being said or things that were happening. You know, there'd be moments where someone would outright say, oh, there's these things called Cenobites and they come from this like hell dimension to come and get you because, you know, they love flesh and sex and all that shit, and they might have your son, blah, blah, blah. And then, like, the dad would just be like, wow, holy shit, well, let's keep calm. Like, no, you'd be
Don't worry.
you'd be asking what the hell that means. You'd be asking, you'd have so many questions that you would want to ask when you hear something like that. But repeatedly, the characters just don't react properly. And they overdo the drama as well. Like, you know, when they first get together for the dinner party, and like the Craven mum is sitting there quietly. She's been the one who's been watching the videotape over and over, and like obviously the whole point here is that they're kind of like trying not to talk about the elephant in the room, and they're trying to like pretend everything's okay to have a nice night. But then within seconds, like the sister's like, so why don't we talk about them? Why no one ever talks about it? And then it turns out like they say, oh yeah, we never have talked about it. I'm like, what, never? This never came up? Like both your sons like disappeared, presumed dead a year ago? I don't know. There's a lot of things that it kind of like, it's so overt with, and then you think, okay, it's building this up for later, and then like 10 seconds later they do it, and it's like, oh, okay, I guess that wasn't something you were building, that was just something that was about to happen. That's kind of how I would describe this. There's not a lot of momentum in anything. Things just keep suddenly happening, so it doesn't really have much of a flow. So while it's only 75 minutes long, which is merciful,
thank God, yeah.
It's merciful, it's 75 minutes long. It feels a lot longer because there's not really much of a flow to it. You just kind of wait, then a thing happens. Wait, then a thing happens. Wait, then a thing happens. So that's my spoiler-free review.
Yeah, I think a big problem with these Hellraiser sequels, like these kind of later ones, is they all feel like they're trying so hard to be deadly serious. So like, you know, nothing is ever going to be good as like the first one, or, you know, even like the second one or whatever. But, you know, when you have these long running franchises, like you don't really expect them to be as good as the originals. And then especially, you know, ones that kind of, you know, lean towards the cheesier end, you kind of just hope that maybe they'll embrace something stupid or make something so kind of outrageous that it's fun. But the problem is just like everyone is just trying so hard to be dramatic and serious, and it just makes it so like there's no joy or any fun to be had in like these later sequels. It just makes it like no fun at all to watch.
I can confirm that I had zero fun watching this movie. I can confirm that fact.
Yeah, I mean, I'll go as far to say, and I was telling you, I mentioned this to you, but like, I genuinely do think that this is one of the worst movies we've done on the show. Like, I don't think it would take the number one spot. Like, I mean, I'd have to really, do some deep digging and to try to find like, which one was that. But like, I don't know. I think this was in the top 10 at least.
It's definitely top 10. Do you know the thing is like some of the sequels to some of the other horror franchises are very bad. But
true, yeah.
But I would say Jason Goes to Hell: The Final Friday is better than every Hellraiser from at least number 5 onwards.
I would agree.
To put it on perspective. Or even Halloween, like Halloween 6, even Rob Zombie's I hate that movie with a fiery passion. But Rob Zombie's Halloween, for everything I hate about it and all the decisions he makes in that movie that I don't like, it is a coherent, full film that is clearly what he wanted to make.
Exactly, yeah.
So objectively, it's just better than all the Hellraiser movies since at least the 5th one. And you could argue 4 as well if you really want to.
Yeah. And like even stuff like, like Halloween Resurrection or whatever, like, I don't think it's like a good movie in any respect, but
it's funny though.
Exactly, yeah. So at least there's like dumb stuff that makes me laugh in it, where again, like these movies just have nothing that is on that level. Like even the last one, which I thought maybe we might get that because it's like the video game one, and it's like even that one, like, I mean, I guess I would like it better than this one, but there's still like nothing that's really like fun or over the top about it.
The video game one that starred Lance Henriksen and also Superman, and it was still so dull. And I'll give this movie this franchise keeps finding new ways to be bad because, like,
that's true.
Because 5, 6, and 7 were shockingly similar, and they were all either a private investigator, a cop, or a journalist investigating something, right? So they were all detective-y movies. 8 shook it up technically with the video game thing and the whole like party and the plan to whatever, the revenge scheme. This again is different. I'll give it that. It is different to the previous few, but somehow it's not better. It's arguably even worse than the last few, which is really saying something at this point.
I was kind of hoping, like, the opening was very bad, but I was kind of hoping, like, all right, are we gonna get like a weird American Pie kind of like sex comedy, like where these kids are trying to get laid and like the Cenobites are interrupting them? Because that sounds dumb as hell, but like at least there would probably be some like cheesy funny moments in that, but unfortunately no, that's not what happens.
Yeah, no, that's not what happens at all.
Like just like the Cenobites like just like peeping through like a little hole, like watching like two people get it on.
This also a homage to Psycho as well.
I was thinking Porky's, but sure.
Oh, okay,
Psycho.
Okay. Pinhead's knocking one out while he's watching a couple through the wall. Yeah. Okay.
All right. I want to read something real quick from the Wikipedia. Let me see here.
Okay, go on.
I gotta scroll all the way to the top here.
You gotta scroll all the way to the top if you want to rock and roll. Sorry, Timmy.
Right. I don't know much about metal. I'm assuming that's a Metallica song or something.
Not Metallica, but I did just get School of Rock today on iTunes, so I've got some of the songs from it in the brain.
Okay. All right. So this is according to the Wikipedia. Who knows if it's true, but I think I'm going to believe it. It says, the film was produced in a matter of weeks due to an obligation on Dimension Films' part to release another Hellraiser film or risk losing the rights to the film series.
The Roger Corman Fantastic Four treatment. Okay.
Due to the quick turnaround time and the rush production, series star Doug Bradley declined to participate, making this the first entry in the series in which he does not play Pinhead. It was released in a single theater for a crew screening that was ostensibly open to the public, then released to DVD in October 2011. But yeah, I mean, when you look at that and, it says it was produced in a matter of weeks. Like, does that surprise you at all after watching the movie? I
think when you say produced in a matter of weeks, I think what you have to make clear here, if they said the production part of it was a matter of weeks. That wouldn't be that weird for a small film, right? Even a good small film, the actual shooting part would only be weeks, right? Halloween, the entirety of Halloween was shot in, I think, 16 days, if I remember right. But that says produced in a matter of weeks. That means it was written, all the pre-production, the production, and the post-production, the editing, was all done in a matter of weeks. That is insane.
Yeah, that's, I mean, I don't know if it's true, but to me, that sounds about right after seeing like the finished product.
It feels believable, yeah. Having watched the movie, it feels believable. Certainly no denying it. So, rough times. And, you know, obviously you don't care about the characters. By the time you get to the end of the movie and there's no hope for anything, it's like, well, I don't really care.
Yeah, and then, like, you know, any horror movie, like, you know, if no matter how bad it is, if it has like some cool gore or kills, like that, it can kind of be like a saving grace. But yeah, nothing like that in this movie.
Nope. So I guess we'll give the spoiler warning at this point for those who care. So full spoilers for Hellraiser Revelations. We'll get into it. So there's not really much we have to add about the opening. It's pretty much just, you know, there's a couple of quick flashes after them just talking stupid bullshit in the car of one of them holding the box, and then like a quick flash of like Pinhead, and you hear his line, and then we cut ahead.
Also, one thing I just do want to mention here. All right, so you have these two friends. So one of the friends is dating the friend's sister.
Yes. Nico is dating Steven's sister. Yes.
But they're both totally cool with this plan to like, let's go to Mexico and get laid. Like your friend who's dating your sister is basically like, yeah, I'm okay with going to Mexico and getting laid. And like, I don't know, it already off the bat, it's like kind of weird.
Yep. I mean, they say outright they're looking for prostitutes. They say that, like, immediately. Which, by the way, some of the prostitutes here hang out in some really weird places to pick up guys, because there's two different scenes of them getting a prostitute where she's dressed up like a prostitute, but she's like in like a really sort of fake-looking alleyway set, but she's right in the middle of an alley. It's not like she's at the edge of the alley trying to like pull people on from the street. She's like just hanging out in the middle of an alleyway next to like the bins.
Yeah, and I don't know, I don't want to make any aspersions or anything, but like they're supposed to be in, I think they say Tijuana.
I think so, yeah.
But like, I don't know, like nobody looks like nothing about it looked like Mexican at all. Like none of the people there like looked like Mexican, and obviously, you know, I'm sure there's lots of different types of people and stuff, but it's just. I don't know, just nothing like felt authentic though.
The women they meet at the bar in like one of the earlier flashbacks, I think look Latina to me, but I think at least one of them was Asian for sure, and then it was a real mixed bag, because even the vagrant who comes up and talks to him is like a white guy, you know, like there's like a really so I don't know. Like that, obviously, this was all shot in one location, and they are pretending they're in Mexico for portions, and they didn't even bother getting like a cast that would make a lot of sense. So, I mean, as far as tackling all this shit, because obviously it flashes back to the various things as it's going throughout the movie, and like, because eventually, Stephen. The Craven one, the one who's the brother of the sister, shows up just randomly, right? He just shows up randomly through the door.
Like, which, when I was watching the movie, I assumed like they'd been missing for like a couple of days or for a week or something, which I think like would make more sense with the way they react. But if it is true, like when I was looking at the Wikipedia and it says that it's been a year, then it seems like they're not really reacting as big as they should. Yeah,
if he'd been missing for a year and then just stumbled in the door like this, kind of half zombie looking, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. But then if it had only been a few days to a week or something like that, then all of what they said at the dinner table earlier would have felt weird, because it's like they've bottled it up and moved on because it's been a long time. So none of it really kind of clicks together. It's kind of weird. Of course, it's after the fight at the dinner table, before he shows up, the sister, Emma, goes up to the bedroom, finds the video camera. And was it just me, or does this video camera look really old for 2011?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
It looks like something more from like 2002 than 2011, but whatever.
For sure. I mean, it's 2011, like, you'd probably just be filming on your phone, right?
Yeah, smartphones were a thing. I mean, maybe they weren't, maybe not everyone had them yet, and that's why, but...
I mean, these are definitely rich kids, though.
Oh, yeah, I mean, the house this family's in is like this secluded, fairly big house.
Yeah.
I love how there's an explanation at one point. Oh, there's no signal up here. That's why we keep a landline. Like he says that at one point.
Of course.
But supernatural bollocks mean that there's no phone working.
Well, there's a deleted scene where Pinhead's up on the telephone pole and he cuts the wires and then turns to the camera and says, "Ain't I a stinker?"
Well, to be fair, there's a twist about what Steven's up to when he returns. So he probably cut the phone line. He probably removed the cars. But that was one of the reactions that really got me is the other dad who he goes out, he's like, oh, like we'll have to take him to the hospital, and he runs out, I'll go get the car ready, and he goes out and like both their cars are missing, and he just sort of stands there like, huh? And he comes back in and says, the cars are gone, and the other Daddy Craven just goes, ah, shit. Well, we're going to have to do something for him. And I'm like, what? Why is that your reaction? Both of your cars have seemingly been stolen. That's not that's a pretty big thing to have happened or really coincidental. Yeah. Like, you don't just shrug that off as oh shit.
Especially if like you live in the middle of the woods or wherever they are. Like, it's like, yeah, who the hell would know we're even here? And like, how would they be able to get away with this without like us noticing? Yeah,
baffling. Anyway, so I was getting to the sister, after she causes a bit of an argument at the dinner table, she goes up to the bedroom and starts watching some of this footage, and she's not seen it yet, right? This is the first time she's getting to watch it. She's clearly not supposed to have been watching this. And she happens to watch...
that they like filmed like their whole journey.
I know. That was the other thing. There's a couple of moments later on where Nico's clearly the eviler one who's like trying to deal with the Pinhead stuff, and Steven's just filming it, and Nico keeps insisting that Steven film, and there's never any reason why. He just said, no, I told you to film, you son of a bitch, now keep filming. I'm like, why do you want him to film any of this? I don't understand.
Yeah, especially like when you're like essentially committing crimes and shit. Like,
yeah, well, so the thing the sister watches, right, is like they're at like a bar, and they see this attractive woman sitting there. They're both kind of drunk. They go up and try to talk to her. She can't speak any English, so they start
and they're
trying to communicate.
The drunk acting is
it's
another level.
yeah, they're trying to do like crappy Spanish that they barely know to try and like talk to her. And it seems like Steven's the one who's mainly flirting with her and trying to like impress her. And then the bit that's actually filmed on the camera that the sister sees is Steven, for some reason, he was rolling as he walked into the bathroom to like clean his hands or throw up in the sink or something. And he hears like sex coming from one of the cubicles, and
that sounds like sex.
Yeah, so he naturally goes over to open the door, like the people will not mind him taking a peek, and he's filming. So he's like, that sounds like sex. I'm going to keep rolling and open the door. And sure enough, it's his friend having sex with the woman he was trying to flirt with, and he's like, oh damn it, Nico, you do this to me all the time. And of course it cuts back to the sister, and she starts crying because this is her boyfriend having sex with this gorgeous woman in Mexico. He's like, oh, I was sad he was dead, but now I know he was cheating on me. Oh. This was a roller coaster of emotions.
Oh yeah, all the feels for this part.
And then, this is not recorded, this next part on the tape, but we get to see it, is that the next morning, like, apparently they've been there all night, or at least Steven's been passed out for a bit, and he wakes up, and Nico comes out, he's like, let's go, man, let's go, we need to go now. He's like, well, no, why? He's like, give me a minute. He's like, come on, let's go get some breakfast or something. And he opens the door, and, like, the woman is, like, being killed, right? She's in there all bloody, and at this point, I was like, is he already, like... Is something already happened with like Pinhead? Is there already Cenobite stuff going on? But I think that as the movie goes on, it really kind of sets up that Nico actually does just have a dark side, and he did end up just killing her after he had sex with her. And it's like, okay, I guess this ties into like, why Pinhead will want him, why the Cenobites want to punish him, right? Because he is a bad dude. Okay, fine.
Bad boy.
The next time we see a flashback, though, they're at a strip club, and Steven's like, maybe we should just go back to, the US and, get out of Mexico before they suspect that it's us. And he's
Probably
like,
a good idea.
and he's just like, no, I'm fine here. And this is when the Vagrant comes up and gives them the configuration. It is just like, this was meant for you, Nico. It's been meant for you all along. So,
yeah.
The backstory in the and I'm just sticking to the flashback because it's going to be too confusing if I try to
right.
jump back and forth. So, the story in the flashbacks that from here is that Nico opens the box, Pinhead comes, but much like Frank in the original movie, he kind of like makes Steven kill people to try and like bring him back. So he doesn't necessarily do it intentionally the first time, but he ends up with a prostitute. He ends up killing her on the bed, and the blood kind of makes, all skinless Nico come out of the bed. He's like, yeah, her blood's bringing me back. Keep killing for me, Steven. Keep killing for me. And
yeah. It'd be so funny if you compare it to the first movie where there's just that like just amazing practical effect of like, Frank's body like coming back together and he's just like, this like gross, sticky, bloody, like creature versus here where it just looks like they just like cut a hole in a bed and just have him like sticking out. Like you don't even see him come out. It's just like all of a sudden he's just like there.
Yeah, it just cuts back to him and he's like holding her through the bed. Yeah,
so goddamn bad. And again, whatever, I'm sure you had like half a day to do this scene or whatever, but like it looks so freaking bad.
It's pretty rough, and it's it happens again. He doesn't want to kill the second prostitute because there's like a baby cry. It turns out she has a baby in her apartment, and he can't do it because Steve. I mean, at this point he's already killed one person, though, so he's already kind of like he's already went too far. But
there's like a really weird thing too, where the sex worker that he's with, like at first she's kind of like, hey, like you want to do it, like let's go back to my place, but then like even before he starts like acting weird, she at least I thought like she had this kind of like weird look on her face, like she was scared of him, like oh my god, like what's wrong with this guy? But it's like he hadn't even done anything yet. Like
it was a weird shift because when she first like comes up to him, she's like, you got $100, baby, and like starts putting her hands around him, says come back with me. But as soon as they're alone, and all he's doing is starting he's putting his hand on her cheek and stuff. He's just starting normal things, normal. What would you call it? Pre-game sex stuff.
Yeah.
Foreplay, I believe, is the word. But I don't know if it's not even foreplay yet. This is like, this is first contact.
Right.
And she's already looking like,
think of it in Star Trek references.
Sure. He's not at the final frontier yet. That's the end of sex. It's first contact, and then it's a search for Spock.
Very good. Yeah.
and then if it's going well, you get the Wrath of Khan, and then it's the Voyage Home, and finally the final frontier.
There you go. Surprisingly, that fits pretty good.
Yeah. Okay, that was a weird thing to do this episode, but there you
go. Have you done all the Star Trek movies on a Ace?
Just the first one, actually. Just the motion picture.
All right. Well, so next time you do one, I'm sure this will be in your head.
I'm not sure you make the motion picture. I guess if you're filming it, that's how the motion picture becomes part of the equation.
Yeah. Oh, sure.
Anyway, so he won't kill the second prostitute, but it turns out he doesn't need to, though, because Nico shows up and just does it himself as the bloody mess that he is. Which, to be fair, if I remember the first movie, I do think Julia lures the guys back, but it's not always necessarily her that does the killing. Like I think Frank sometimes will do the killing himself.
I think like a lot of times she would hit him with like a hammer or like a blunt object or something, and then once they're kind of incapacitated or on the ground, then like Frank would basically come and like take their essence.
Yeah. Okay.
So I guess like you were saying before that it's like, yeah, they are doing Hellraiser-y stuff, which I guess that's kind of a plus, but then also it's like, well, you're literally just doing like the beats from the first movie and you're not doing them that well, so I don't know, like it doesn't do like anything. Really.
In a weird way, it feels more like a truer Hellraiser film than anything has since the third one. But yeah. It's so poor in quality that it doesn't matter. Like it just doesn't matter.
It feels more like watching like a fan film.
Yeah. That's the first.
Even those like have like sometimes a lot better production.
Well, that's because they care, and they'll spend months. They'll spend months making like a 10-minute thing.
Yeah.
Whereas this is the opposite. This is weeks making a 75-minute thing as opposed to a usual 90-minute, but still.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's kind of how it plays out, but there's a bit of a twist later on where, and again, this kind of plays into the first film a little bit, because obviously Frank was going to take his brother's like body, skin, right? Mm-hmm. And, so that's effectively what happens here. The twist is that it's not Steven that came back, it's actually Nico wearing Steven's face that came back. So which explains some scenes that happen earlier on. So one of the things that I thought it was doing is that it was like the box was making everyone horny, because early on there's a moment with the sister where she's kind of like just rubbing her finger around the circle of the box, right? She's just sort of doing this, and she's kind of looking up at like the other dad, right? Not her dad, the other one, and kind of like just sort of looking at him as she does it. And he's just sort of like being a bit weirded out by it. Not saying anything because it's a bit awkward. But then when she gets up to go somewhere else, because the mum kind of noticed she's acting a bit weird, she says, "Go take this soup to your brother." She sort of like runs her finger across this other dad's back, and he just kind of freezes, like, "What am I supposed to do? This is what?" And what's weird about it is that the mum sees it and is like. She's in shock. She looks at the other dad, and he's like, "I'm done." The movie almost got entertaining. It almost got entertaining. There is a bit of kind of incest in the following scene, though, with the brother and sister. Although it turns out later it's not really the brother, but she doesn't know that.
She seems like pretty okay about it. Well,
I think the point of this scene is to set up that the box is making her kind of like act out of character horny, right? So she takes the soup up to her brother.
Uncharacteristically horny. And
for some reason, I was going to say it runs in the family when I was watching the scene, but now I know it's not really the brother. I don't understand why neither of these people use the spoon that's with the bowl of soup. They both drink the soup from the bowl.
Yeah, and like especially like when you're like sitting down in bed, it's like just a recipe for disaster.
Like I get like if there's a little bit left, you sort of down it, but like like this is a full bowl of soup, and she takes a sip, and then he starts just drinking it, and then he's like, "Do you want the rest?" And she's like, "Yeah, sure," and she starts drinking it. I was like, it's a weird detail, but it was bugging me. At first I thought, why didn't she bring a spoon? And then I noticed there was a spoon sitting on the plate underneath the bowl, and I was like, why aren't you using the spoon? There's a spoon right there.
Yeah.
Use the spoon, you tits. Speaking of tits.
Oh my.
Speaking of tits, he touches her lips, then he goes in to kiss her. They're making out, and again, she does not know this is. She thinks this is just her brother at this point. And then he like fantasizes it in her head, and I think she might see it too because it's lament configuration spooky stuff. But like he fantasizes about ripping off her boob. So you sort of see like a sort of cheesy rip off a boob effect, and then it like snaps back to reality, and she gets freaked out and runs away because oh, what was it doing? That was my brother.
There's also a weird thing where like, does this movie think that like, I mean, I never really got this sense from the other movies, but like that they're all just kind of hanging out inside the box. Because I think because there's like a scene or something like where I forget who it is, but I think some of them are like hanging out in whatever the other hell dimension, like they kind of like start hearing the people arguing or whatever outside, and it kind of like made it seem like they were inside the box or something. I don't know, it was weird.
I don't think I took it as that, but now you're saying it, I guess they might be implying that. I think I just took it as because they're playing with the box, like that they're starting to sense, oh, it's maybe opening soon kind of thing.
Maybe,
so it's time to go. But yeah, I mean, you may be right. Maybe that is what they're implying. I mean,
I don't know.
I certainly never
it's
took it as that in the previous movies, that they're inside the box. Like
yeah,
the box just opened the portal or whatever you want to call it. Yeah.
I would really hate it if like it's literally like teeny tiny versions of them hanging out in the box, and then they're like, oh whoopee, we can go out.
Yeah, what's weird, so the twist is that, okay, this isn't really Steven, this is just Nico in Steven's body, is that for the first like several scenes he's in, until he starts to like, kiss his supposed sister, he's acting really like out of it, and like he's not really sure where he is, and he's really quiet, and then he sort of like starts to act out a bit more, and then the reveal that he's the bad guy, and I was like, well, why were you acting so out of it earlier? Like, was this just all part of an act? Because if so, why? What did you benefit from being weak and zombie-like for the first several scenes? I don't understand.
It makes no sense.
Because it's not like they weren't going to trust him anyway. If he was just kind of that's bad. Anyway, and we find out the new like Pinhead Junior, the one who's having the pins like knocked into him. That's actually Nico. They've got Nico, the Cenobites. That's the big reveal later on.
Revelation, yeah.
I say big, but I suppose yes. Yeah, forgive me. I've not been using the word revelation instead of twist or reveal this whole time. What a sham!
By the
this
way,
is.
if I like had no idea or recollection of this movie, and you just blankly asked me, hey, like, what would you think like a later era Hellraiser sequel would be called? I probably would say like, I don't know, like Revelations or something. Like I feel like there's so many like crappy sequels that are just like blank Revelations or blank Reborn or blank
Resurrection.
It's always like some R word. Resurrection's a lot. Yeah.
I'm shocked I've not had that one yet. Yeah. So yeah, as far as all this, there's a lot of like them sitting debating things, and then one thing will happen, which is Steven comes back, right? Or then they're sitting around talking about stuff. Oh, they hear a noise outside. Oh, they're sitting around, and then Steven's standing outside just looking weird at the swimming pool, and then they're sitting around. Oh, there's another noise outside. Who is it? I'll go out with my shotgun. Oh, it's the vagrant, and he says something, and Daddy Bradley takes the shotgun and shoots him. But
he was like way too eager to shoot that guy.
Oh yeah, he was just gun ho, and then but the vagrant gets up and slashes his face, and he ends up like sort of crisscrossed, and his like skin's like ripped off. But again, a bit of a cheesy effect. And then the big revelation comes when Steven shoots his own dad, and then it kind of becomes apparent what's actually going on. And it's now there's actually like one little glance they have at each other that kind of hinted at this earlier, but then they sort of like just didn't say anything about it, so I just kind of forgot about it. But Daddy Craven and Mummy Bradley apparently have been having an affair, but it's such a nothing
revelation
thing, right? Because like Nico now, in Steven's body, like sits down and says, you were screwing my mother, and that's why we wanted to leave, because you were ruining our lives. And I'm like, you literally went to Mexico and cheated on your girlfriend like the first chance you got, like at the start of this story. What are you talking about? You're on this high horse.
Hell horse. Generally, I mean, I don't care about any character in this movie, but I especially don't care about like the parents. Like I like, to me, they're barely exist in this movie. There's no point to them. Like the story is basically Emma and Steven and Nico. Like those are, I guess, are the kind of more interesting characters. Like I'm trying to do anything interesting or with these parent characters, especially like so late in the movie, is just like I could not care less.
I do have to dispute this a little bit, because you're saying that you don't care about these characters, especially the parents. By saying especially the parents, you're implying that the other characters are somehow more interesting, and I'm not so sure I agree with that part.
No, I mean, a blanket statement, yes, I do not care about anyone in this movie, but if I did have to rank them, gun to my head, like,
the one's aiming at your head, Tim. I have no interest in shooting you.
After watching this movie, I would have welcomed it. Take me out of my misery.
Yeah, so apparently Nico's plan, I should say, is that he's come to trade his girlfriend so that the Cenobites will stop chasing him, because they're trying to get him back. They want him back. So he's going to make her open the box, and somehow thinks this is going to lead to a trade. And of course, Pinhead immediately is like, no, lol. We don't care about her. You made her open it. She didn't open it over on a card. I mean, one day she will. She's got a kinky S&M side in her. She's just not realised it yet. So we'll see you soon. Yeah. That's basically what he says to her. But you're the one we're coming for. And then the dad, who's still been shot, so he's still like lying down in pain, because they're all surrounded by Cenobites now at the end of the movie. He picks up the shotgun and decides to shoot Nico for revenge for what he did to Stephen. Because at this point they see Stephen the Cenobite and like, oh my god, that's our baby boy, and he grabs a shotgun, he shoots Nico, and then Pinhead's like, you idiot, we were about to torture him and enjoy the pleasure of his flesh for centuries until he eventually perished. That would have been more punishment than anything you could have ever have done, but instead you just robbed us of that, which means we're still owed a soul. So for that, your wife that you cheated on, that you feel guilty about, now she's going to be our bitch for the next several centuries. We're going to torture her instead. So the hooks come out and they pull her in. The other wife is killed by the Cenobites like instantly, just for reasons. I don't even remember why they killed her. They just killed her.
I just looked at her and was like, a woman, and then killed her.
And then, so the dad who's dying and is about to die, because he says, take me instead of my wife, and they're like, no, you're about to die. We'll get nothing out of you. We can keep her alive for ages. So the sister is left on alone, the sole survivor in the real world, and the movie ends with her holding the box and looking at the camera. And she doesn't smirk. I thought she was going to smirk or something, but she doesn't. She just holds it, and then it cuts to black, and this 75-minute nightmare thankfully ends.
So one thing I forgot to mention, you made me think of it because you're talking about like the box and being all kinky and stuff. So kind of, especially with the first movie and everything, there's always this kind of underlying message with the Cenobites and stuff that pain and pleasure are two sides of a coin, and that sort of thing. But it's always kind of brought up in such a more elegant, poetic way in the first movie, while here it's very blunt, where the character literally says pain and pleasure, they're the same. He literally just has to spell out the very obvious message that anyone who's watched Hellraiser gets. I thought that was so dumb.
It was a lot more nuanced in the first film, because it was this character who was seeking greater pleasure. Someone who was into S&M and wanted to go further, and that's why he was led to the box. That was Frank. And then obviously it went too far, and so on and so on. At least one of the movies after that did sort of shift it to the Cenobites will punish someone who's been doing bad things. That kind of came into it. And this movie kind of mixes them together a little bit, because it's it's clearly a punishment thing in the sense because he's going around killing people. But it's murkied up, and that's just the thing. Hellraiser was a perfect one and done, right? And then there had to be sequels. So no pun intended, they tried to flesh it out. And that kind of murkied up the purity of what the original was saying about what the point of it was and what the Cenobites were there to do, and the character who did get involved and what his motivations were, and he's a sick bastard and all the rest of it. So it's yeah. I mean, let's face it, this movie is lacking anything that resembles layers or a message or nuance is what I say. Nuance.
No, I mean, it is exactly what you think of when you think of this type of movie, where it is a film company afraid to lose a license, so they very quickly hurry something into production. It feels rushed. It feels they just took the first script that they got and didn't bother giving it a second read before making it. They just hired whoever they could. Just everything feels cheap. It feels like there's no thought or care. It is just purely get whatever crap you can shovel out and release within this quick time frame so we don't lose the license. But the weird thing is like I forget when the last one was, but it's like a pretty decent gap between this one and the last one, I believe.
Yeah, the last two were both 2005 and this is 2011.
Okay, so yeah, so that's like 6 years, and then I think the next one is like 7 years.
2018, I think. Yeah.
So the thing is, like, and all these movies are like pretty crappy, and I'm assuming that like they're probably pretty cheap to make, and enough people are invested in the franchise that they'll probably make some money, but it's not like you're making millions off of these. I would doubt. I'd be pretty surprised if it was that much. So my thing is, why are they so concerned with keeping the license if it seems like they don't care about these movies at all? It's not like they're doing them every few years. It's like they're pretty far apart, and their quality is just horrible down the drain, and it doesn't seem like fans or anything like them. So why bother continually making these?
I guess it's the because IP is king. Like keeping as much IP as you can is important, and I guess they figure one day we'll do a proper one. Like one day we're going to have a good Hellraiser big movie, and obviously things have changed because this is from Dimension, and Dimension, I think because it was connected to Miramax and the Weinsteins, obviously things have changed over the last few years with who is in control of those companies and stuff.
Why? What happened?
There was some. Let's just say that the Weinstein could use some Pinhead quality time.
Amen to that.
The Cenobites need to take care of him, but yeah. So I think because at least I think Paramount is the one who owns the Miramax library now for distribution. I don't know if they're necessarily the ones producing the IP for new movies, but this new movie that's coming up, that's coming out this year, they made a big point of announcing the casting. It's got some big names attached to like the producing and writing side, and they're just calling it Hellraiser. So they're clearly trying to make this new one, maybe not a huge thing, but they're seeing the success of the return of Halloween, the return of other things, and I'm sure they want to have, at the very least, something that they can like sell as a proper movie, something that people will actually rent, some people will actually maybe go to see in a theater, because no one's seeing 5 onwards, no one's going to see any of these damn things in a theater, right?
Well, I mean, we would, but very few people would, I'm sure.
Yeah, so I mean, I think this next one, not the next one we're doing, because we've got one left that's, we've got the 2018 one to do, but the next new one does seem like the first real attempt since 3 and 4 to actually do a proper new one. And if anything, because it's like a big reboot, arguably even bigger than those in terms of like how much they're putting into it and hoping to get out of it. So I mean, here's hoping. I mean, let's face it, the bar is so low that like we could come out of this new one and say it's the best one since like 2 or 3, and that could mean it's pretty okay, or it could still be pretty trash. It's just not as trash as the rest of them.
I'm still like a little confused if they're are they also doing the TV show still, or
I've not heard about that in ages, so I don't know if they've dropped that.
All right.
So we'll see.
It was so confusing because like for a while it seemed like we were getting like Hellraiser news, like
I know.
It's like all the time. It's like, oh, we're doing a TV show, and then like for a while it was like, oh, Clive Barker is doing like a new one, and then it was what's his face, David Goyer was attached to like one at one point.
Yeah, I think the pandemic did kill a couple of things. I don't know if they ever officially got killed or cancelled, but the movie is coming. The movie, was cast. It's supposedly coming this year. I suspect it might be like a quick turnaround. I don't know if they're going to put it straight to a streaming service. Maybe I can't remember.
I remember Hulu was in talks before, but that might have been the TV show. But I don't know if they're connected. Like if not like story wise, but like production companies or whatever. So I don't know if that's possible. But then I mean, you would think if it's Paramount, like you said, you would think Paramount Plus, obviously, but
you would think that, wouldn't you?
Everything's so confusing.
Yeah. So obviously we'll be doing Hellraiser Judgment at some point.
Hell yeah.
Before the next day. I'm looking at Wikipedia to see what it says about the 2022 one for now. But just to wrap up before we do our ratings, because we may as well see what it is just now.
It is kind of driving me crazy that like I feel like for a while we're getting so many like big announcements, especially at the start of the year, and it feels like everything has dried up. And I like all I want to know is like just give me a release date. Like I just want to know when these things are coming out.
Yeah, so October 2006. God, this is the backstory of the new one. October 2006, Clive Barker announced on his official website that he would be writing the script for a forthcoming remake of the original Hellraiser film, to be produced by Dimension Films. Obviously, this was ages ago. He dropped out of the project due to production due to creative differences. Oh, what a shock! In 2010, Patrick Lussier was hired to serve as a director on a reboot. So this is before the one we just did came out. All this stuff. Let me skip ahead. Inspired by the success of Halloween 2018, unsurprisingly, Miramax Films announced plans to adapt future installments in the Hellraiser franchise. In May 2019, Gary Barber slated that Spyglass Media Group will develop the next film in the franchise, described as a reboot. David S. Goyer will serve as writer and producer. So Goyer's on the movie.
Okay.
By April 2020...
Which I feel like some people have a little bit of a backlash against Goyer, but I mean,
Most of his stuff is shit, let's be honest.
He's written some pretty good stuff. I mean, I don't know, maybe he needs people to like rewrite, his stuff, like, like Batman Begins or something like.
Yeah, along the Batman movies, what has he done that's good?
Did he do the? I mean, I guess we'd probably disagree with this, but I want to say he wrote the first Blade movie, maybe the second one, which I like those movies.
Yeah, I can't say I do, but everything he did after, like he co-wrote the first two Batman movies, was pretty rough, and you can kind of get the sense that Christopher Nolan co-writing kind of
as his,
kind of helped those out quite a bit, I assume. So
he did like Man of Steel too, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's no good.
By April 2020, David Bruckner was hired as director from a script he co-wrote with Ben Collins and Luke Piotrowski. The film is scheduled to be released as a Hulu original film, exclusively via streaming on Hulu in 2022, which, funnily enough, will mean Disney Plus for the rest of the world, I think.
Yeah, it's funny.
Yes, later in October, Jamie Clayton was cast as Pinhead. So yeah,
a woman.
That was a reaction by a lot of people, and then they realised the woman was trans, and then the reaction got even worse amongst the horrible parts of the internet. So,
cool. I want to say I expect like a little bit more from like horror fans. Like horror fans seem a little more chilled than like I don't know, like Star Wars fans and stuff. But,
I would say generally, I'd say that's probably true, but there's still a shitty sector of them.
Yeah,
there definitely is.
So annoying. I'm sure the majority are fine or excited about it. It's just the annoying vocal minority about it. And hey, sounds cool to me. Yeah.
So there you go. So yeah, that's still apparently scheduled for this year. Although it's been quiet for a while, but I was hoping it would tell me if like when they finish shooting or something like that, so they'd have like an idea that it's progressed. But the wiki article doesn't really have as much. So
at the very least, knowing that people have been cast and everything, that it feels like, okay, this isn't something that it's still gonna happen. It's just who knows when or whatever. Hopefully.
Oh, here we go. Actually, I just clicked on the movie for its own, because I was on like the Wikipedia page for like the franchise. I was reading that part of it.
Sure.
So in September 2021, Goyer announced the production was in the midst of filming, so they were shooting late last year. Yeah, and that's when they revealed who was cast. So it sounds like it was already shot. So I mean, I would say it's still pretty likely it's coming this year, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, I mean, I guess if it is something that's coming straight to a streaming service, I guess maybe that's why we haven't heard much about it yet. Because the streaming service stuff, it seems like you kind of hear about it more like
like before it comes out. Yeah, they don't announce it that far in advance with streaming shows. Like Netflix are really bad for it.
Drives me crazy.
Netflix will be like, here's this new movie that exists. It's out in 3 weeks. Like, oh, okay, all right.
Way to build up hype.
You don't get much hype from like that short a window for whatever reason. But anyway,
I would say maybe like October. Who knows? But
I would guess it October as well, just because it's a horror movie. But we're also expecting Evil Dead Rise and Final Destination 6. So we'll see where they all fall. They may all end up in October, because why not? All right, Tim, what are you rating Hellraiser Revelations?
Hold on, I want to read one last thing from the Wikipedia real quick, and I'm sorry, and it's not fun to just read from that stuff, but I think this was an interesting little last tidbit from the movie. So it says Clive Barker and Doug Bradley have made no official comment on the film. So wait, so I'll stop right here for a second. So that makes it seem like, like if someone, you have like a creator or something, like, well, this sucks, but I don't want to badmouth it, so I won't say anything. Like, that's what that first sentence makes it.
That also could mean that they just don't know it exists. Like, that's entirely possible.
No, because there's a second part to this. Okay. I just want to set it up, because it makes it seem like maybe they don't know it exists, or maybe they're being cordial and they don't want to say anything bad. So they said they made no official comment.
But unofficially. Unofficially, though. Well, not unofficially.
After that, it says Barker's only comments have been in response to ad copy that the film comes from, and then here's quotation marks, from the mind of Clive Barker. And then I guess Clive Barker posted on his Twitter feed, I want to put on record that the flick out there using the word Hellraiser, and then in all caps, is no fucking child of mine. I have nothing to do with the fucking thing. If they claim it's from the mind of Clive Barker, it's a lie. It's not even from my butthole. Which, yeah, sorry, I guess you have to bleep out those F-bombs, but yeah, I just thought that was funny that they're like, yeah, he never made an official comment, but if you do check out his Twitter feed, here's his thoughts on the movie.
I mean,
he's not wrong.
It's not a press release, but I would say that it's from if from his direct personal Twitter, I'd say that's pretty official.
Yeah. Just made me laugh. Hey Clive, we love you. Come on the show, please. I
don't know. He may be a bit weird. I don't know. Clive Barker. I'm getting like weird vibes from him. Probably talking about all his kinks.
Hey, nothing's wrong with that. We're all about yum, not yuck on this show. Let your freak flag fly, baby. What are you into?
That's not a discussion I'm having on Screams After Midnight, Timmy. What are you rating Hellraiser Revelations, Timbo?
So I've I think I've talked about this before. When you have movies that are like this bad, it's not so much like, all right, how bad, like how far down am I going? It's more like, okay, I'm starting at the bottom and I'm trying to think, what, if any, like what little piece can I have to like, bring the score up? Like, it's all pretty bad, but was there at least one cool sequence or like one cool kill or one character that I liked or one part that made me laugh? And it's just one of those movies where I can't answer anything that I liked about it. Like, there's the quality on every level is just horrid. Like, the acting is bad. The movie looks bad. Like, the quality of the film, like, I guess I could hear the actors clearly, so I guess maybe I can't rag on the sound too much. But like nothing about it stands out and is any way like cool or interesting or new or creepy or whatever. Like, there's nothing for me to cling to, like, to really give it any type of praise or anything at all. And then, yeah, it's one of those things where it just, I mean, obviously, where are we with this franchise at this point? But, it does feel like it cheapens it a little bit, where at least the other ones, as bad as they were, they felt like there's a certain threshold of, competency there that, like, it felt like, all right, you actually made a movie, where everything about it just screams, like, again, that, yeah, you're just rushing this piece of crap into production for, I mean, there's tons of movies that are made for not like noble intentions or whatever, but it's very clearly, obviously, to keep the rights, and they don't care about the product or whatever. So I mean, I don't know. There's nothing for me to cling on to give points to it. So I'm going to give it a 1.5. And that is basically just, I guess, because like, I could see the movie, I could hear the actors, I can't complain that, like there was stuff that didn't necessarily like make sense or whatever, and that the quality was at least watchable enough, like in the sense that I could see and hear the people, and I'll give it a little bit for at least being short, even though despite it being 75 minutes, it did kind of drag in some parts, but I mean, at least I didn't have to sit through this for 2 hours. So, 1.5. Good movie.
Do you know what? I actually started laughing in my head there halfway through because you said there was nothing for me to cling on to, and I thought even Tim's making Star Trek references this week without realizing it.
What was the second reboot movie?
Into Darkness?
Yeah, that could fit in the sex steps that we're talking about. I was trying to think of if that one was Heart of Darkness or Into Darkness, but you can put that in there.
Maybe if you're doing some butt stuff.
Yeah, butt stuff, of course.
Obviously. Okay.
I guess we know
which makes it which makes it beyond.
Oh, there you go. Like come full circle.
You know what you just did. Don't even pretend you don't.
The pervs are gonna love this episode.
Especially the Star Trek pervs.
Oh yeah.
Gonna be all
Which,
over
let's face it, is our audience.
Oh dear. Yeah, okay, so this is
Strange New Worlds indeed.
Discovery. Although the acronym for that show is STD, so be careful, folks. All right. Anyway, my rating for Revelations.
The film we just watched.
Yeah. If I'm rating our Star Trek jokes this episode, I'm going a solid 8 out of 10. But
that's good.
No, for rating this movie, it is tough because because I feel like I don't really necessarily go as low as a 1, because I do think that at least that it meets some bare bones like technical qualities to at least establish that it is something, even though rushed, even though not a great standard of quality, that it at least does function like some cheap Lifetime movie or something like that. And maybe that's an insult to those. Maybe those are even better, but because of that, I think I have to just go with a 2 out of 10.
Wow. You really loved it.
Sure, yeah, 2 out of 10. It's wonderful stuff. But I got a couple of chuckles early on when like the brother sister incest shit was going down, or or a couple of the non-reactions to things gave me a what the hell moment, and like those count for something. So I'll give it a 2 out of 10, purely just because there is even worse. We've done even worse. We've rated even worse. There's not much worse, but there is even
not
worse.
Much. No.
So 2 out of 10, I think, is my fair rating. So there you go. Another stinker in the bag.
Glad I didn't pay money for it.
Because it was on Tubi.
Mm-hmm. And like Tubi really is the king of these like free dirtbag streaming services, because like I feel like I maybe had 2 ad breaks and they were like pretty short. I tried watching Used Cars on Pluto TV.
Oh, is that the is it Kurt Russell?
Yep.
Robert Zemeckis movie starring, of course, Garrett Graham. If Tara listens to this and I don't mention Garrett Graham's in that, she'll be annoyed at me. So Garrett Graham.
Okay. I'll take your word for it.
Don't ask. It's a running thing.
But no, like it was so annoying because the movie is weirdly long. It's like 2 hours.
Yeah, I watched it last year actually, which is why I know what it is.
So on Pluto TV, there is literally like an ad break every 7 to 10 minutes. And then I was watching it like at one point and I had to stop about halfway through. So there was an hour left and I went back to watch it, and you can't just resume when you're watching it. You have to actually go back to the beginning, and I tried fast forwarding it, but you can't fast forward because it stops every time you get to an ad break. So I was like, oh, I guess I'll just never watch the end of this movie.
That's stupid, because if you got ad breaks in the middle of a YouTube video, you can skip past. It'll just give you one ad when you start.
Yeah.
So let's say you skip past 2 ad breaks on YouTube. It'll just give you one wherever you start, and then you can just go from there. Which seems fair to me. But making you go through every ad break that's stupid.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's horrendous. So screw you, Pluto TV. You suck. I will never watch you unless you have a movie that's streaming on there that I want to watch. But yeah, I'm mad at Pluto TV. Yeah. And the ads are long too. They're like, I don't know, like 2-3 minutes or whatever. Like versus Tubi, which is like 15-30 seconds.
Yeah, although Pluto does have some okay like linear channels for background noise. Like they've got like a riff tracks channel you can just put on and just let it play.
That is cool. I like the live TV aspect of it. That is kind of nice. But and
they've got like a Baywatch channel. It just plays Baywatch like 24 hours a day.
All right, easy, you freak.
No, it was that, and what was the other one I noticed? Married with Children was the other one that I noticed. It was just like a Married with Children channel.
It's funny. Yeah.
So, just the last time I checked. If you like true crime stuff, they've got like an FBI forensics one that's just playing 24 hours a day. They've got another one. There's like 6 or 7 of those. So, if that's your thing, just in case you care, it's free. Okay. There you go. That's the show. This has been Screams After Midnight. Tim somehow we were done like 10 minutes ago, and Tim managed to milk 10 minutes out of Pluto. His streaming woes yet again. Somehow there's always like a segment with him complaining about streaming services, but he finds a way to do it every time.
My life is hard. I don't know what to say.
So let us know what you think. Oh.
I was gonna say someone should buy me used cars on Blu-ray and send it to me. If it's on Blu-ray, I imagine it is. Mostly everything is at this point.
Yeah, at the very least.
Robert Zemeckis, though, it's a good director. I like him.
It was definitely in HD when I watched this, so there's definitely a HD transfer. If it's not a Blu-ray directly.
Definition, as they say.
They do, yes.
Hello, where are your high definition televisions?
Is this an improv bit? Am I meant to like come up with a witty line?
No, it's okay. You dropped the ball, that's fine.
Well, these days, like, you have to get under a certain size to get a HD TV now, because everything over a certain size is just 4K now by default.
Hilarious.
It's the future, Timmy.
I would love to do an improv show with you. That would be so funny. I think that would be really funny.
I don't want to do the naked stand-up you did once, though. But you, I'm alright.
Oh, come on. I did it more than once. Don't act like I said it when I was a regular in Boston.
I love the idea that you're naked, but I'm not. I just walk up and close, unlike every other comedian. Just like, I'm
a little more shy nowadays, but there was a time I didn't mind flaunting my body.
Yeah. Flaunting little V. All right.
One day we'll do the Mild Fuzz Hunky calendar.
No one wants that, Timmy. No one.
Connor's Sweet July.
I think you mean Sunburnt July. Sunburnt with just like fiery hair, just like there's like a misery in his face that he'd rather be doing anything else than sitting out in the sun. Anyway, this has been Screams After Midnight. Let us know what you think of Hellraiser Revelations. If you're unlucky enough to have seen it, in the comments below. Like, subscribe, down the bell for notification. You can support the show, of course, by hitting the super thanks button on YouTube. But of course, we mentioned earlier, patreon.com/MailFuzzTV, where you can get some extras, get some early access, stuff like that. All good stuff. But otherwise, that is us. So thank you very much for joining us. We always appreciate it. Keep watching scary movies. We'll see you next time. Oh.